I am a time debtor. I was given that lovely label at 10 p.m. one night. I just made a pot of black tea to fuel yet another work-related all-nighter, and my friend Jade, she wasn't having it. She'd seen me do this before and was all freaked out it was going to hurt my health. Time debtor. I hadn't heard the term before, but I could feel truth all over it. Was I wasting time I didn't have, always racing to catch up? Okay, fine, but was she suggesting I had to somehow reimburse myself for the hours of sleep I was about to lose? Yeah, like that was going to happen. In regular debting, you spend money that you don't have, so it would make sense that in time debting, you spend the time that you do have incorrectly. But I didn't have a choice. My mind flashed on the 60 all-nighters I had clocked that year to keep from losing everything. My husband of 19 years had left me for another woman, but I was keeping it together. I mean, my house had slipped into foreclosure and I couldn't bribe our grieving teenager out of his bathrobe for $1 million. But I knew I'd be okay if I could just power through more billable work hours. Never mind that what I needed were more life hours. Part of me really wanted to be open-minded that night talking with Jade about this time debtor crap. But honestly, I was proud that I could rally while everyone else slept. And besides, I was liquored up on caffeine. I didn't have time for a bummer reality check. Then she said that she had been going to DA meetings. That's short for Debtors Anonymous. Now I'm thinking she's really lost it. She's not in debt. But she explained there are all kinds of debtors. You can lose your time in many different ways. Live beyond your means. And I was like, she said, Linda, your work hours are out of control. Of course, she was right. I wasn't spending my time wisely. I was over-investing in client care and under-investing in self-care. I was so busy reacting to other people's emergencies that I had little time for the prevention of my own. Instead of manage my time was managing me. It was pretty devastating to see how even the most important things to me were not immune. My son and I had just written a book together about protecting the environment. It was really dear to my heart. But I was too busy with work and divorce drama to fully promote it. But I know I'm not alone. As I think of my successful friends, time debting is the norm. More than an addiction, I would say that it's become an affliction, a disease of our era. So I got myself to a couple of Debtors Anonymous meetings. And I read everything I could that they offered, and all of it rocked my world, especially a symptom of compulsive debting that DA calls terminal vagueness. Did you catch that? That's terminal. Not as in airport, but as in lethal. As in when you don't have an accurate sense of your situation, your denial and bad habits can kill you. But even if being vague doesn't shorten your life, it does prevent you from fully living it. One cure for terminal vagueness is tracking. Track your numbers, track your time. But I tracked my money. I had my bills on a huge color-coded wall chart. But when it came to time specifically, I wasn't tracking the right metrics. Imagine that X is your number of hours and Y is your number of years over the course of a lifetime. We think our X and Y are infinite, but of course they're not. We say that time is money, but it isn't. I've lost enough loved ones in my life to know that time is energy. It's our lifeblood. When we drain it away, it's gone. Our plans bankrupt. So, I had to get real. And I'd like to get real here with you about what time debt looks like and how I got the situation largely under control, because maybe you'll relate. It started by seeing that those all-nighters I was so bloody proud of were sapping the quality of my all-dayers. What I had thought of as a net was in fact a net not. To put this in monetary terms, let's say that you earn $3,000 a month and you spend $5,000. Well, it's pretty easy to see that's not going to work for very long, right? You can ignore the overspend, you can choose not to open up your bills, but you're still in the red and it's recorded somewhere. But who keeps a balance sheet of their time? Okay, in this audience, some of you probably do, but are you tracking what matters most to you or just clocking hours on your smartphone. So what does life look like through the eyes of a time debtor? Here are 4 common symptoms. See if any of these feel familiar. Number 1 is thinking you're a machine. This is believing that you should be able to do whatever it takes just because you used to or because someone else expects you to. What you really crave is sanity and long-term fuel, but you gorge on candy bars for a quick energy high and then curl up in the fetal position under your desk. Number 2 is forgetting the shit happens factor. This is the call from your high-maintenance coworker you knew you didn't have time to answer, or the surprise detour on the way to your meeting. Boom, you're in the red time-wise, and your day has barely begun. Number 3 is denial of the laws of time and space, physics. You know you have to be at work by 9 a.m., but you're still trying to pack in a workout, cook for the entire family, and make a call to your best friend. You've been an adult for years now, people, but you're still shocked by how long regular everyday stuff takes. I saved my favorite for last. Number 4 is time shock. This is where you look up at the clock and go, oh my God, what just happened? I'm so sorry, I thought I had more time. You've literally lost time, like aliens have abducted you. For me, 2 things helped stop the madness. First, I just started tracking my time so that I could be aware of what was happening. Thankfully, it's easy to clock the minutes it takes to do most things. Second, I had to uncover the emotions underneath my behavior so I could get to the heart of why. Time debting is often a symptom of something deep and dangerous. Our emotional lives can have our schedules by the throat. Some people spend way more time at work than their peers because they have a deep fear of not being good enough. Others invest in friendships that don't serve them because they fear loneliness. Many run themselves ragged so they don't have to feel. When I look back at where I lost the most time, hands down it was to relationship drama. With my ex, I had spent a lot of time in and recovering from our dysfunction. I had made a diary document on my computer, and I logged the beautiful stuff, but also his hurtful words and his betrayals. But I often erased those entries when he would apologize because I loved him. And I felt guilty for focusing on the negative, for recording the truth of my own feelings. After my separation, I fell for a sexy mystery man who baked homemade pies and sang love songs. Yeah. And very quickly, I was derailed by his moods, and I was spending valuable time up at night helping him build his business when I needed more rest for my own. Once again, as vague in love as I was with time, I no longer erased my diary entries, thank God, but I could not make sense of them. He yelled at me at noon and then wined and dined me at 7. He shut me down with silence and then reeled in my kid with laughter. My poor sister and friends were on speed dial, and we spent stupid amounts of time processing. Is this normal? Am I happy? Is there more good than bad? But here's the thing. We live in a society that measures everything to the cent, to the inch, to the pound, but we have no way to clearly assess our own feelings. One day I had an idea. If I color code my diary entries to match my overall feelings, maybe I can be my own witness, my own best friend, put myself on speed dial. It started simple with only 3 colors: blue for tears, yellow for mellow, and green for romance. Colors, y'all, don't lie. I could see my romance at a glance, and blissful green days were always followed by tearful blue ones. Our life together was more sad than happy. I could see the loss of days, and I had such a bill to pay. I had been so blind. I wasted time in unhappy relationships and wasted more time trying to make sense of them. My patterns didn't change because you can't change what you don't see. Logging my feelings put color and shape around the time I had wasted. I had been powerless, but I now had the power in my own hands. Time dating affects everyone. Think for a minute about which emotions concerning love or work or body image or family or friendship are draining your lifeblood. Which emotions and bad habits are robbing you of your vitality. We all long to make a difference in this world, and we lose chunks of time, priceless momentum. Don't get me wrong, there will always be spans of time that put us into debt, like grief, that require their own timetable, or situations too complex to track, like moving or having a baby. But how often do you rush through the things you really want to focus on? I'm now a recovering time debtor. I could have done that earlier if someone had taken me by the shoulders and said, look where you're spending your time. Color coding on my computer saved me, and it was so easy. I highly recommend it. You can also use paper and highlighters if you want a calendar and highlighters. I also, if you have an iPhone, I created an app to make it even easier. As you can see, it's called the Boyfriend Log, but you can track anything. Nowadays, I make paying myself a priority, and my head hits that pillow by 11 p.m. I would never, ever think to drink a mug, much less a pot of black tea after sundown. The other night, my fiance and I were snuggled up watching a movie, and the thought of working late to make up for lost time felt like someone else's nightmare. In the mornings, before I even think to check my email, I make the time to check in with me first to see what I need from me. I have become my own best friend. So think about making time your new boyfriend or partner or best buddy or favorite client. The joy you want to log, how you spend your time can feel like the longest, most miserable relationship of your life, or the best love affair you've ever had. So I stand before you today hoping that the minutes you have so generously shared with me have been well spent, and that you give yourself the gift of the time it takes to accomplish whatever matters most to you. Refuse to write a bad check on your greatest asset, your time, your life. Thank you.